You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned. You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.
It's another year and another Independence Day for a people at war. Once again, the time has come for Ambazonians across the globe to unite and celebrate their independence on October 1st. A day of pride, hope, and renewed purpose is upon us.
As we mark this significant occasion with cultural representations, dances, military parades from the Amazonian State Army, all eyes will turn to the leader of the revolution.
Fellow Ambazonians, patriotic diasporas, I salute all of you gathered around our flag on this national day, our Independence Day.
President Samuel Ikome Sako on the eve of Independence Day. Join us on September 30th at 8 p.m. as President Samuel Ikome Sako addresses the nation.
Today, as the never again generation, we have one assignment: to right this great wrong through the sword of justice, with the flame of our courage and the undying spirit of our righteous resolve. So whether we live or die, let it be for Ambazonia.
In these trying times, amidst an 8-year conflict with La République du Cameroon, President Sako's words are expected to spark hope and chart a new direction.
Let me tell you again in a simple language. The person who does not want his neighbor to sleep should expect a knock on his door.
While the date for the war to end remains uncertain, brace yourselves for a roadmap towards a smarter prosecution of our liberation movement, a vision full of promise and determined leadership. Prepare to be inspired as we honor our journey and look forward to a brighter future.
To remind the world of our genocide and the injustice done to us as a nation by France and the complicit international community. Share our story with passion and courage, knowing that no one feels our pain more than we do, and no one knows our story more than those who have lived it, us. Let us fight as one man.
Tune in live across all multimedia platforms and catch this monumental speech only on your favorite TV channel. Don't miss this pivotal moment. Together, let's reignite the spirit of Ambazonia.
This Independence Day, immerse yourself in the words of our leader. Be part of history in the making.
Good evening, Ambazonians, ladies and gentlemen. This is another day, about 2 days away from independence celebrations, or should I call it commemoration. It all signifies the same thing. A moment when Ambazonians, home and abroad, are together to reflect on their sovereignty and to reassert integrity that has been taken away from them, that was taken away from them criminally, cruelly. You're all of what has been trending on the media. A certain Southern Cameroonian born who has been naturalized as a German citizen has been picked up by the police in Norway for alleged crimes against humanity. Crimes against humanity not committed in Norway. These are crimes or alleged crimes against humanity committed in Southern Cameroons, to be precise. But that will give us the opportunity to process crimes against humanity that have been committed in the Cameroons. And we will also provide to you a backdrop of some of these crimes brutally committed by the actors of the ground, on the ground. We have spent the last 3 months on this platform updating the world, the media, on the accurate facts of who, how, and when against humanity are committed, particularly against the peace-loving people of the Southern Cameroons. We are also not ignorant of media rhetoric, conspiracy, and the hypocrisy. But if there is any platform in the Cameroons that has authority to tell the world the truth, it should be this platform. Let me begin with an incident that happened. I just would like to refresh the minds of those who are watching us. This is a report of BBC. Let's watch it.
Led to their deaths. The soldiers accused. In the final scene of this video, too graphic to show here, they're blindfolded, forced to the ground, and shot at close range 22 times. One of the women still has the baby strapped to her back. The video began to circulate on July 10th, 2018. Some claimed that this atrocity. They announced that 7 members of the military were under investigation. But there has still been no official admission that these killings were carried out on Cameroonian soil by government soldiers, and there is still no guarantee that anyone will be held to account. So how can we tell what really happened here? Over the next few minutes, we're going to follow these women and children on the short walk to the end of their lives, and to glean from this video the clues. In August, there was a sudden change in the government's position. After weeks of denying that these killings took place, our analysis has identified 3 men blindfolding the little girl he's about to kill. A few seconds later, he draws his weapon and opens fire. Our analysis identified 2 other guns that were used in butts. Our military source identified him as Barnabas Gonoso. Although one of his colleagues calls out, "Tsanga, leave it, they're dead." When he put these findings to the government of Cameroon, who responded.
Okay, for those who are not aware of this, these were armies, these were armed men. I cannot call this because an army is trained to respect law. These were armed men, loyal to Mr. Biya, who targeted women, armless, harmless women, and bulleted them. Before camera, they did so, they filmed it, and they acknowledged it. Isa Churuma, who is now of blessed memory, denied and later on agreed. A typical ISIS style of executing people on camera. And we've reported, the question we're asking is what actions were taken. If there's anything that could have been done to anybody in the world. These are children like you're watching on the screen. These are babies. I want to take time to just show you a couple of images as you're watching right now. This is a woman blindfolded in front of her baby. And so you had approximately 5 persons were killed. You had 3 women, 1 carrying a baby, and then another baby was moving. And these senseless soldiers will point a gun on these babies and kill them before broad daylight. Everybody was watching. So watch it. We're going to spend some time to go through all of this, and because we know every media is talking about whatever is happening, and we think that we do have a responsibility to show the media and the world what actually is happening in the Cameroons. I'm sure if you're watching this for the first time, you're asking yourself, is this possible? Is this even possible in today's world? Not long after that, after this sad situation, we had another incident that would involve an Ambazonian. Have you ever heard of the story of the crippled man, Sam Sawyer? I'm going to tell you the story. So Mr. Biya took upon himself, sent his brothers, armies of occupation, send them to Ambazonia. They picked up an innocent man. This was a crippled man for whatever alleged crime. They picked up a crippled man in front of his wife and 4 kids. This man left behind 4 children. They picked him up and slaughtered him, beheaded him. If not ISIS, who else does that? If it is not ISIS, who else does that? So Sam Sawyer will be picked up from his own house, taken into the squares of a city where he's living for very fallacious reasons. Sam Sawyer will be beheaded. The reason we highlighted that there are 2 actors who do exact same thing in Ambazonia is because the same act you're watching on the screen right now, On one side, you're seeing an Ambazonian that is being tortured. It's being tortured by gendarmes, by Bolu gendarmes, as instructed by Biya. Cho Ayaba has also done this exact same thing. He has even taken responsibility for that. Mbui, these are things that have never, ever happened in Ambazonia. And one of those that were beheaded on camera had a sister in the diaspora that was a member of his group. They behead people on camera and they don't deny it. The same Cho Ayaba, we've reported it. And for those who feel that we should have stayed quiet, it's a poor calculation. Because in news, you don't report something and then when there is a follow-up story and you stay quiet, it doesn't happen. Now, there is a follow-up story of everything that we have been reporting for the past 3 months. We have spent time reporting atrocities by these same two individuals on the ground. And apparently our voice was not loud enough. Last year in October, the people of Momo would have their land defied in a way like never before. In Momo, look at my screen, this is what happened. These were two gentlemen allegedly working with Cameroon. I'm talking with the colonial administration, allegedly working with the colonial administration. Because you cannot litigate a matter on the street. These two men will wake up that morning and will never ever return home again. They will be trapped by Cho Ayaba, made to confess on camera, or if, in law, there's something very basic in law. Any evidence that you're seeing them, they shot on camera. You've seen that? Maybe you may think we're doing conspiracy theory. This is not conspiracy theory. Ambazonians, this is not conspiracy theory. What you're watching now. When you arrest a person, whether the person is right or wrong, the person is a terrorist, if the person is harmless and harmless by the Geneva Convention and the Roman statute and the rules of international law, you do not kill them. Even if you meet a that drops their gun and raises their hands in the air, you do not do this. So this is what would happen in Ambazonia. And like I said, this is not conspiracy theory. If you think that we are just doing conspiracy theory, listen to Cho Ayaba's press secretary. Listen to him.
We will take care of them. Our forces will take care of them. As you all know, yesterday, the Ambazonia Defense Forces, following the established Ambazonian Code of Law and Code of Justice, carried out summary execution publicly of 2 Cameroon spies recruited by the B commander in Ambo, following our code of conduct, our code of law and code of justice, they were executed.
Did you see that? These were the two men. That is Lucas Asu. I wrote an article in 2018 to describe the both of them. I call it the Lucas conspiracy. You know, in 2018, I was communicating with this guy. I invited him at the time with SCBC. He was pretending he was working as an intelligence officer for Cho Ayaba. So I invited him, and when we finally decoded who he was, I would ask myself, was that necessary? You heard what he was saying, that you did it and you came on camera to say it. The question is, why? Why? I understood that this guy was a psychiatric patient. But you know why they'll do this all the time? To show strength. Some people who have lost relevance. In the diaspora, Ambazonians don't trust them. Southern Cameroonians that are funding this genocide, they're funding our self-defense initiative from the diaspora, have lost trust in Cho Ayaba and his group, the ADF and AGOC. So they will not give the money. And it's easy for them to manipulate some boys on the ground, some boys that are not the Ambazonian State Army, to go around stealing and kidnapping. It's easy. That's an easy thing to do. Anybody can do it. I can do it. Just need to call a few friends, those who know you, and manipulate, and that's all. We've reported we've had Barrister Fru, Barrister Tim here standing against liberation tax. The government position was clear on how to prosecute the war. The unfortunate part about all of these crimes against humanity is the media and the manipulative efforts to encapsulate the entire Ambazonia as a people under these heinous crimes. I read a report by American Broadcasting Corporation. I'm calling them because they have almost the same name, ABC News. And I would say it's unfortunate. ABC is a media institution that should know how to process news. Is it true what Donald Trump says, that ABC is a fake media? Because ABC, first of all, about 6,000 people have been killed. That's what ABC says in their report. Approximately, let's say at the lowest day, at least 10 Ambazonians are killed a day. Okay, let's multiply that in 3 years for those who know arithmetic. That cannot be less than 12,000 people. But we have records of the Cameroonian army. In fact, their own media records that in 2017, on a single day, the Cameroon army killed 122 Ambazonians for free. These were armless people marching with peace plans. They were killed in one day. And just in case you think that we are still trying to indict Cho Ayaba wrongly, he does it and he says it. The Biya army does it and also says it. Before we go into Ngarbu, I'm going to bring the story of Ngarbu and Pinyin before I bring the barristers for us to talk. Let's watch another video of the actors on the ground that are burning houses, burning taxis, burning properties, and burning people. Watch it. Watch it. This was in Ngarbu. That's a baby that is now an orphan standing in front of ashes as a home. When you look at that young girl, you ask yourself a very simple question. Will she ever be normal again? What has she not seen? She has seen her parents by the Cameroonian army roasted down like chickens. As if that is not all, they would kill our people. Cameroon and their proxies will kill our people and burn them. Why Cho Ayaba is burning taxis? Cameroon is burning properties and villages. They're committing exact same crime on the ground. These are crimes by international law, constitute crimes against humanity. Now you may be assuming, so this situation was in Bali, where the people were smoked and roasted. It happened in Bali. I'll bring that image again so that you can see it. This was in Bali. Look at it very closely. It happened in Bali. These were over 50 Ambazonians sleeping at night in their houses, and they would be picked up and killed, smoked, gassed, used. Cameroon army uses weapons of mass destruction. And after this would have been done, they will roast the people like chicken. Now you may think that we want to accuse Cho Ayaba for a crime that he did not commit. I'm sure you may be thinking that, right? Listen to him.
I am compelled to make an address today on the topic of the change of taxi colors. I know everybody is screaming. Everybody is uncertain. There are others who are attacking. The weaver birds are on the top of trees and they are screaming. I am not going to reverse the decision. Let me be absolutely clear. I will not reverse the decision. One of the
So that's Cho Ayaba telling the world that in spite of everybody calling him to conscience and Ambazonians crying, innocent taxi drivers screaming, people losing their hard-earned money, some would have played jangies. Please love proudly, excitedly, looking into the eyes of the people of Ambazonia and the world and bragging and telling them, I'm not reversing this insensitivity. That's what he told them. That he's not going to reverse it. So Cameroon doesn't end by using proxies. Use their army. How many of you remember the story of Moja Moja? Moja Moja said on camera, I'm not the one fabricating this. That's Moja arresting innocent civilians, beating them like dogs. Seen it many. Moja Moja. I'm going to tell you why I'm bringing Moja Moja into the picture. Because the supposed arrest of Moja Moja was in anticipation of what is going to happen today. The new international organizations were investigating. And so they would have to arrest Moja Moja. But Moja Moja is to Ambazonia for impunity. So the Cameroon government cannot separate themselves from these crimes that you're watching on the screen against humanity. The objective of today's program is how the actual actors on the ground committing crimes against humanity. They are known. They do it and they say it. Moja Moja actually said that he has been subscribed. The audios are there. We just don't have enough time. I'm going to play them. That he is recruiting. He was not dismissed as a Cameroon B. And of course, you need to know Biya the B, over 10 years after or 15 years after he took power, he designed the B, a special unit of his army to safeguard power. The B directly reports to Biya. So any crime committed by the B is logical, legal, rational for it to be done by the instructions of Biya, because they are consistent. They have not done one, they have not done two. They continue to do it every day. If they did an error, for BBC or for BBC and ABC calling them an army and not referring to them as terrorists, is that how the United States Army prosecutes wars in the Middle East or wars around the world? An army is trained to know that you don't do this on camera. You don't arrest people and do this. Because not only is it wrong, it affects family members associated to such individuals who have been allegedly or who have allegedly committed crimes. So you have those committing crimes against humanity on the ground. There are many of them. All PDM loyalists, like Ngala Gerard. Next week, I'm going to spend time on people like Ngala Gerard. Ngala Gerard has acknowledged, in fact, his vigilante Indu says that investigations confirm that Ngala Gerard planted a bomb to bomb Ambazonians. So they will go to schools, This is very important. This show should be watched globally. Ambazonians are watching us on all our social media platforms. Share it and share it very widely. I'm going to forward this clip to all these channels. We're inviting them for a press conference with the president on Friday. They're going to watch this show. They can do it on all human rights organizations. So what Ngala Gerard did, he intimidated teachers, Ndu, Ndonga Manto, bribed some of them. He's a CPDM loyalist, to insist that children will go out and march on 11 February. Then also instructed his vigilante to plant a bomb. What was his calculation? That they will bomb children and they will accuse the genuine Ambazonian fighters. Freedom fighting, the armed struggle is a legal way to fight against autocracy, hegemony, oppression, and colonization. I'm saying this to those watching us at home front. Don't be discouraged that an actor who is creating mayhem against civilian population has been arrested. It does not legitimizes the Ambazonian movement. Ambazonian movement, an effort to pick up weapons against the colonial administration and their cruelty, is a legal endeavor, and no institution in the world, contrary to what the Cameroon media is purporting, no institution in the world, no government has identified the people of Ambazonia as terrorists. So, but what do they do so that we will be tagged terrorists? You know, you can name a dog, give a name, and then kill it. They will send CPDM loyalists like the ones in Biya through the help of Moja Moja to pay armed men. The DDR centers are recruitment centers where they get intelligence. And what do? They create mayhem against the Ambazonian people. And then the narrative now is Anglophones killing Anglophones. They are trying to change the rhetoric. Anglophones, as you may want to call them, Ambazonians don't kill Ambazonians. I can tell you authoritatively. I have people in all the 13 counties, and we do reports every day on the ground. We know the actors on the ground that will kill Ambazonians. And I have an evidence for you before I show you what Atanganji is doing. Then we move on with our conversation. The proof, not even for once, has the Ambazonian State Army, even at the time they were called the Restoration Forces, not even once have they targeted the Ntontus, the Burmese, the Francophones, or French Cameroonians, or Cameroonese that are living in the southern Cameroons. So, what you're trying to tell us, you think the world is foolish. You're trying to tell us that our brothers and people are so stupid, so wicked, to the extent that if they think that civilians should be targets, they will ignore the Ntontus and Burmese that own all the businesses, or most of the businesses in Southern Cameroons. And the Bulus that are living freely, we're talking about civilians that are living freely in the Southern Cameroons, and they'll attack their own people. That's what you are trying to insinuate. And you expect that any rational person will believe you. To prove to you that Ambazonians don't kill Ambazonians, French Cameroon will not kill their brothers. In fact, we've reported an incident where they went into a village and met a group of people and realized Francophones were there. And that's how others survived. Now, let me conclude this first part of our with something that happened. I'm sure you have seen this. This is in Santa. The number of people that died on this day, until now, the village has not been able to see some because some corpses were not found. So you saw what happened there? This was an orchestration of Paul Atanganji. Those are humans you're seeing hanged on ceilings as though they're dresses. Until Frundi of the memory criticized this situation, Cameroon was denying it. So what did they do? Atanganji went, manipulated some as always, grouped them into a building, suffocated them, hung them, shot them in huge numbers. It happened in Santa. Is it the case of a Utabetando? These are all criminals committing crimes against humanity, against the peace-loving people of Ambazonia. Tabetando did exact same thing in Egbeko. And Andrew Nkea of the Catholic Church will be so dishonest not to say the truth of it. You now have an idea of everyone committing crimes against humanity, crimes against our people. Well, a lot of Ambazonians, in fact, the world is waiting to hear what the government of Ambazonia or the leadership of our movement will say concerning the arrest. Well, we can only process. The government will decide that, and hopefully on Monday, the president will be addressing ahead of our independence on Tuesday. We are hoping that the government position will be actually stated on this matter. But before then, let's talk after the break.
It's another year and another Independence Day for a people at war. Once again, the time has come for Ambazonians across the globe to unite and celebrate their independence on October 1st. A day of pride, hope, and renewed purpose is upon us.
As we mark this significant occasion with cultural representations, dances, military parades from the Ambazonian State Army, all eyes will turn to the leader of the revolution.
Fellow Ambazonians, patriotic diasporas, I salute all of you gathered around our flag on this national day, our Independence Day.
President Samuel Ikome Sako on the eve of Independence Day. Join us on September 30th at 8 p.m. as President Samuel Ikome Sako addresses the nation.
Today, as the Never Again generation, we have one assignment: to right this great wrong through the sword of justice, with the flame of our courage and the undying spirit of our righteous resolve. So whether we live or die, let it be for Ambazonia.
In these trying times, amidst an 8-year conflict with La République du Cameroon, President Sako's words are expected to spark hope and chart a new direction.
Let me tell you again in a simple language. The person who does not want his neighbor to sleep should expect a knock on his door.
While the date for the war to end remains uncertain, brace yourselves for a roadmap towards a smarter prosecution of our liberation movement, a vision full of promise and determined leadership. Prepare to be inspired as we honor our journey and look forward to a brighter future.
To remind the world of our genocide and the injustice done to us as a nation by France and the complicit international community. Share our story with passion and courage, knowing that no one feels our pain more than we do, and no one knows our story more than those who have lived it, us. Let us fight as one man.
Tune in live across all multimedia platforms and catch this monumental speech only on your favorite TV channel. Don't miss this pivotal moment. Together, let's reignite the spirit of Ambazonia.
This Independence Day, immerse yourself in the words of our leader. Be part of history in the making.
Good evening, Barrister Fru. Good evening, Barrister MBESEHA. I want to thank you all for connecting and being patient. The introduction was imperative. We have reported it over and over again. Apparently, our voices were not loud enough. So we think that at this moment, it was necessary to recollect what we have been cautioning stakeholders for months and for years. I'll begin with you, Barrister Fu. You're welcome.
Thank you, Paddy. Thank you for inviting us once more. The evolving story of crimes against humanity, we have come to dissect it. And as it concerns our territory, as it concerns our people who have paid the heaviest price because of La République du Cameroon and its proxies. Thank you. We're ready.
Barrister MBESEHA, thank you for joining. You're welcome.
Well, thank you once more for having us. Your narrative before you invited us to talk has been comprehensive enough. But I think if we're addressing this thing again, because we already know those stories, if we're addressing it today, it is because you have also said that one of Ambazonia, Cho Ayaba, has been arrested. That's what brings us to this topic again. Yeah. And it will be good for people watching us to know that whatever opinion we give here at this stage is personal, because the government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia has not yet taken a position. So whatever thing we say here, good or bad, they are our personal opinions. We do not bind the government. We don't know what the government will say in future. So let us have this in mind as we analyze these things. Over to you.
Thank you very much. So we're going to move really quickly. I understand that Barrister Flu has a very important meant to attend the very important because the year for Ambazonia ends now, not in December. So I'll call it an end of year cabinet meeting with the president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. So we're going to move really quickly. There are lots of things. There's a lot pregnant for all those who are watching us. I'm calling on those who are watching us on Facebook and via YouTube. Those who are fortunately connected on satellite, call many more people, especially those at the home front. We have a lot of things we want to tell you. We're going to open the phone lines at the end of this show so that you can call in and make a contribution. We'll open the phone lines for you to call in and make a contribution. So share and call in and talk with many people. I want to begin with you, Barrister Flu. You would have followed the news. You would have read the papers. I read it from the Norwegian paper itself. The president actually sent me a link. I also had Michel Bientong send the similar link and another link. And when I read it, it was kind of funny that the press said something. Said it. But you are the lawyers, the languages of law better than I would do. Talk to us, Barrister Fu.
Yes, Paddy, thank you very much. It was over the weekend and getting to Monday that the news started fading out. Ayaba was actually arrested on Monday and he appeared in court in Oslo on Wednesday, the 25th, and he was remanded in custody for another 4 weeks to preserve the evidence so that he doesn't have the opportunity to destroy the evidence. But, you know, like we lawyers always say, when some matter is in court, we don't comment so much, but we only comment what we hear in the press. He was arrested for crimes against humanity and war crimes in the territory, living in the territory of Norway. And we heard all that, but that is just not the story. The story today is war crimes and crimes against humanity committed on our people since the beginning of the war that Mr. Biya declared on our people. And you have, in your introduction, you have given a succinct report on what you know, but that's not all. You know how many of our people have been judicially killed by La Republic of Cameroon, unarmed people. You know how many children have been roasted in hot oil. You know how many children were shot while they were lying on a couch in the living room. You know how many children were shot on their way to school. You know how many children were shot on their way back from school. You know the burnings that have taken place of innocent people. We know of the story of Ngabu, where children and their parents were massacred on Valentine's Day. We know about the children the children that were killed in St. Francis College in Kumba by La Republic of Cameroon soldiers from Kumba Station, identified as such. We know about the killing of the students in Kondo Titi by both La Republic of Cameroon soldiers and their proxies. We know about, of course, the massacre in Santa, which you just showed. We know about the massacre in Bali and the burning of the bodies by La Republic of Cameroon. What can I tell you, Paddy? This is just the beginning of uncovering what has been happening in the southern Cameroon that the whole world had been covering until Norway has arrested one person. You know, until he's proven guilty, he remains not guilty of the crimes that Norway is profaning against him. But the point I'm making is, we cannot say what crime he committed in Norway. We don't want to get into it, but I want to tell you what I know about the universal jurisdiction of Norway. If you are living in Norway, either as a resident or a citizen or somebody who has just taken up residence there for temporary, you are bound to respect the laws of Norway. And if you are in Norway and instigating and directing the killings or terrorism or massacre or war crimes in anywhere in the world, you are also violating the laws of Norway. And so whatever is happening to Ayaba in Norway, we cannot comment because we don't know the facts. Yeah. We don't know the law. But as the things unfold, we will know. But let me also say this. Ayaba has his accomplices. And he will negotiate. If he has a good lawyer, he will talk. Because a proxy is a proxy of the master, and both are guilty of war crimes. La Republic of Cameroon has been committing these war crimes. Sometimes they commit the war crimes and they tell their proxies to take responsibility.
Yeah.
The gruesome one that took place in Bamenda at Abahango, where 10 people were massacred one night. They were massacred by the B who were embedded in the ADF of Ayabacho, and Ayabacho took responsibility. So, the God Almighty that we serve is beginning to uncover the atrocities that this wicked regime has inflicted on our people, using some of our people as proxies to kill their own. I don't know whether Ayabacho is a Southern Cameroonian. I'm a man command. I've never known Ayabacho, but he speaks English. He studied in government high school in Bengui. He lived in Victoria. Premier Fasha is an Ambazonian. But he has been working as a proxy. No, listen, let me finish.
Yeah.
I'm not questioning. He has been working as a proxy for the occupier of our land to make sure that they kill our people, finish our people. If they don't finish them economically, they take their lives. The atrocities that Ayabacho has committed on our people is comparable to what La Republique has committed, because they are working together, and La Republique, we have evidence that La Republique supply arms to Ayabacho.
No, they
actually dropped arms in Batibo in a helicopter for Ayabacho. Colonel Bankwi, arms were intercepted somewhere in Ebolova by a lady who is a colonel in the gendarmerie. And Colonel Bankwe asked that the arms be released because those arms were going to their partners of Ambazonia. Can you believe what? Can you see what has happened? God is beginning to open up for us. God has started the fight to uncover those who have been slaughtering our people in cold blood. Imagine Ayabacho. If you see the man, this is a man who lives well.
I'm going to ask you a very important question. That's before you leave. So it helps to encourage, because you have a portion of the diasporic community that's not properly informed, and a cross-section of the people at the home front that are also being concerned when they get some of these indictments and arrests. Some of them cannot effectively distinguish what is what. But you've said something, and because I have to release you very soon, Barrister Fro. So, Barrister MBESEHA, the press secretary of the president has just called me to warn me that I need to release you because you have to come for the meeting to begin.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you to respond, and then we'll be crowning everything with Barrister MBESEHA. And this should be probably something you're saying so that you can go. It might take you a long drive.
Yes.
So this is it. You mentioned the law of as what you know in Norway. In every country, not just Norway, every civilized country, once you're giving protection or you're giving residence or you're giving nationality, either as an international that has naturalized or a resident that is gaining permanent residence, or a refugee that is receiving protection. It is even in the 1995 or 1951 Refugee Convention that you must respect the laws of your host country. But I want to ask a question. The Ambazonia, the press does not seem to make this distinction that you and I are making on this platform. And that's why this television is very important. There's a distinction between those who are proxies and committing crimes against our people and those who are actually constituting nuisance and those who are fighting the genuine fight, armed struggle against occupation. Now, what do you say is your understanding of maybe the EU laws when it comes to freedom fighters fighting a genuine cause and respecting the laws of war? How do you place this distinction so that I can help those who are abroad and being concerned with their involvement in the struggle, and those who are at the home front thinking that perhaps we are now considered terrorists in the diaspora? Please, this is the most important part of this program. The world has got to understand, and that we are not ignorant. Please
listen. Everybody in the world is entitled to self-defense. Self-defense is a fundamental right. And once a people have been attacked and they defend themselves, they must do so as combatants, and they are regulated by the Geneva Convention. There are rules of law, rules of war that have been set by the Geneva Convention, which Cameroon is a signatory. There are rules how you prosecute the war. You do not turn your gun against an unarmed civilian during war. Well, that's just part of it. It is law that has been laid down to regulate war. You fight, you kill each other as soldiers, but you do not execute men, women, and children who are innocent, who are unarmed, and who happen to be in the population. You do not. So that law is applicable not only to Cameroon soldiers, but to our fighters like the Ambazonia State Army. And I can tell you that the Ambazonia State Army has been instructed, has been taught how to respect the Geneva Convention. And they cannot be involved in the assassination of civilians in any shape. They cannot be involved in torturing civilians in any shape or form. They cannot kill anybody who is unarmed. They have an enemy to fight, and that enemy is La Republique soldiers and La Republique soldiers only. They cannot turn their guns on civilians because they think that they are La Republique citizens. No. That's why, like you rightly said from the beginning, Paddy, during this war that we have been fighting for 7 to 8 years today, nobody has killed any La Republique citizen. No Ambazonia State Army has killed any La Republique citizen. If a La Republique citizen has been killed, it is Ayaba who is a proxy for the enemy. Even the Ayaba group that was working for the enemy and killing our people, the Ambazonia State Army has never engaged them to kill them. Because as far as we are concerned, Ayabacho is leading a criminal gang, and we consider the criminal gang part of the civilians until they are tried in court. So the Ambazonia State Army has not taken arms against Ayabacho criminal gang that La Republique de Cameroon is financing and arming and making it to fight our people and to kill our people. They are not fighting. They only go around assassinating our people, collecting money from them, collecting taxes, kidnapping them, and taking ransom. That is the difference. If you look at the Ambazonian State Army that is regulated by the government of the Southern Cameroon, they are well trained. They only fight the enemy, nobody else. And if any of them does that.
But Zafru, I want you to say this briefly so that you can leave. You have, before the press secretary whips me.
Yeah. I'll be leaving very soon. Yes.
I want you to say this briefly and leave. What is your advice to these individuals currently being manipulated by someone to commit mayhem on civilians? I'm talking about, because these were genuine Ambazonians that I believe this government has a responsibility to orientate.
Yes.
What advice that this is happening? Because we still know of some actors that will be them to them wrongly. I saw a news a few minutes ago by France claiming that a few of them, about 5 or 10 of them, have sat into a room and they are sending a warning to Norway that he should release their leader or else they are going to create more. They don't know, they are increasing the crime by making this. So what is your advice to them and every Ambazonia fighter not to belong to the state army where their protection is logically formed? Talk to us very briefly and you can leave.
My advice is that anybody other than a member of the Ambazonian State Army, anybody who is taking part in assassinations, killings, and maiming our people, or collecting ransom and collecting false taxes on our people, will be dealt with in conformity with the law of international law. They will be taken to the ICC. Any of them, let them sit in the room, let them sit anywhere. We know that Ayabacho is their leader, and they have their criminal gangs on the ground that we can identify and arrest. If we don't arrest, La Republic would arrest, and La Republic cannot arrest because La Republic is their conspirators. They are working together. Therefore, we will itemize, we will report everything, everybody who is involved in any extrajudicial killing to the ICC in the website that we have, Ambazonia genocidellibrary.com. And I am advising everybody, every Ambazonia on the ground, if you are part of the ADF that has been killing our people, running around and stealing from our people in the name of your commander Ayabacho, just know that we are documenting every little movement of yours, and you will be called to answer before the International Criminal Court when this war will all be over, or when, I don't know when, even if it's not over, the ICC is watching. They are looking at what is happening, and let me tell you, the arrest of Moja and Clovis is a pseudo arrest. Is to protect La Republic of Cameroon because they are vital witnesses. There are people who have committed mayhem on our people, and they are hiding under La Republic of Cameroon. And La Republic of Cameroon thinks that in order for them to protect themselves, they should take them into custody. But unfortunately for them, they cannot take Ayabacho into custody. I am not saying that Ayabacho is guilty of anything. He remains innocent.
We cannot audaciously say what they can do and what they cannot do.
Yes, he remains innocent until proven guilty. Yes. For now, my advice is anybody who is doing that on the ground knows that there's a radar. We are watching and taking note and documenting. That is our role as lawyers. Yeah. That's our. I'm talking in the presence of the chairman of the Judicial Committee. That is our role as lawyers, and we have been working on this file since 2020, and we will see it to the end.
Thank you very much for that wonderful conclusion of whatever you have to say this evening. I think I must.
Can I go now?
You can go. You have to go now. You have been freed. And this is something with Vice MBESEHA. The floor is all yours right now. We have seen Cameroon trying lately to sanctify themselves. Even when they did what they did up north, which I just showed earlier on, After their Minister of Communication denied it, were told that they arrest certain individuals. The end of the case is yet unknown. Now, to sanctify themselves of crimes against humanity caused by a bee answerable directly to Biya, the bee answerable directly to Biya, they would victimize John, a woman, aka Moja Moja, and Clovis. These were all head boys in the DDR. There's so much for you to say. There are three things that Barrister Fu has responded to, which I would also like you to give in an idea of what you think. The case in its entirety, the status quo after this arrest, the legalities involved, your advice to the people on the ground. So you have an extensive work to talk. Please go right ahead.
Well, thank you for having me. Before I go to talk about the war crimes, let me introduce my own take in from what you just said. Basanso is going to attend a meeting. He's attending a cabinet meeting. Preparation for what? Preparation for 1st October. What is 1st October? 1st October is the date of independence of Ambazonia, British Southern Cameroon. This date of independence was not a choice. We didn't choose that date. 1st October is documented as the date of independence of British Southern Cameroon, or UK administered Southern Cameroon, by a United Nations resolution, a resolution that the Republic took part. But what I'm trying to say is that will it be interesting? Will it be so interesting for us to know that in spite of that date being an official date put down by United Nations, today, the Republic of Cameroon considers that date an illegal date. They will hunt you, hunt Mr. Nso and whoever is holding a meeting, they were holding in Yaoundé, and jail them for celebrating a date well documented in the United Nations archives. And so with that take off, you know what we're heading to? We're heading to discuss a country that is totally lawless. We're heading into discussing actions of a government that lacks any responsibility, either locally or internationally. They are just outlaws. And that is where we'll go in. We're talking about prosecuting Cho Ayaba, prosecuting whoever in war crimes and so on. War crimes, genocide, and crimes against humanity are well defined in the Geneva Conventions. The Geneva Conventions of 1949 and amended subsequently are part of the United Nations documents, resolutions. And when the Republic signed up to the United Nations, they agreed to be bound by the Charter of the United Nations and all their documents and all their agreements. So no matter whether they have signed up to the ICC, which is a treaty, or not, they are bound by the Geneva Conventions, because the Geneva Conventions are part of the United Nations rules. And as a member of the United Nations, the Republic is bound by them, willingly or unwillingly. They bind them. And so that is where it is. That is the introduction. But let us go fast forward to what is happening in Oslo. All what we know is that we are told that Cho Ayaba has been arrested and detained for at least crimes against humanity and war crimes. All what we know again is that those war crimes, according to the charges, if they are correct, refer to events happening in Cameroon, in short, in Ambazonia. So that is our connection. Because whatever is happening there connects to Ambazonia. So we are interested. We are very, very interested because it concerns us. Our people were victims. Some of our people were actors. And so we must understand all these things. But how would, under what rule, for example, would Norway arrest Ayabacho or anybody else? And let me just put this. If the law, anywhere in the world, is that where you find yourself within a territory, even as a passenger, if you're just passing by and commit a crime, that country has the right to try you. Let me say, for example, if you left Bamenda and went to buy clothes on Onitsha market and come back the next day, and on the road, you rob somebody, you kill somebody, Nigeria will have jurisdiction over you to try you. You will not say, no, I came from Bamenda. You will not say, no, I came from Yaoundé. No, you'll be tried. So whatever status Mr. Cho Ayaba enjoys in Oslo, it's material. The fact is that it's on the Norwegian soil. And the Norwegian government, the Norwegian institutions have the authority to try him. Under what law? It could be any of these three. One, what I know is Norway has adopted the universal jurisdiction, which means that they might have incorporated most of the Geneva Conventions into their own laws, and they become Norwegian law, so they can prosecute you on that as their own law. I don't know if that's what they are doing. If they are prosecuting him on that as a Norwegian law, that will be it. That's universal jurisdiction. That will be all. But if they are assuming the universal jurisdiction, that will mean that they can try Cho Ayaba and any person who has committed genocide or war crimes violating the Geneva Convention anywhere else in the world. We don't know which is what he's doing. Or thirdly, they might be doing, we've forgotten that there's something they call ICC. The International Criminal Court is an embodiment of all the Geneva Convention rules and crimes listed there. What the ICC does is that it just goes further to show how you can prosecute them. They create a court to prosecute those crimes. In that court, in the International Criminal Court, which sits in Holland, at Hague. And so, if it is possible, but there's no evidence to suggest that, if the ICC indicts you, you have the right to ask member countries that have signed up to it to arrest you wherever you're found. But in that instant case, they will arrest you with a warrant from the ICC. They will let you know that you're under a warrant from the ICC. I'm not sure this is the case. That is not probably the case. And so I'm just trying to show that Oslo has the power, the authority to do what they are doing. Because under the Geneva Convention, it is said that war crimes against humanity, are imprescriptible. That means there's no time limit for punishing them. They are punishable everywhere and anywhere in the world. So you cannot escape. They are imprescriptible. That means you cannot say it has lasted too long. They are punishable anywhere and everywhere in the world. And so under those bases alone, you can be sure that nobody can question the jurisdiction of Norway to try Cho Ayaba, to try me if I'm accused, if I'm a suspect, or try any other person if you find yourself on their soil. So it's not injustice as the people supporting Cho Ayaba are saying. But the most important thing for them to know, which we all agree, is that everywhere where you're accused, you're presumed to be innocent. And what everybody praises, you will have your day in court. In other words, you have your day to tell your story. It will not be kondingi. You will tell your story. And I'm sure if Ayaba wants to defend himself, Ayaba lives in Norway. He has agents, he has people who are supporting him, both in Cameroon and worldwide, both among the administration of Cameroon and anywhere in the world. And so he will tell his story, justice will take its course. And again, as far as Ambazonia is concerned, you have listed all what has happened to Ambazonia in the past 5, 6, 7 years. the principle that we should adopt from it is, based on what is happening now, we should know that the wheels of justice grind slowly, but surely they do grind, and will come to a halt and catch whoever is in the net. And so, as Mr. Ansel said, which is true, as far as this IG is concerned, this government is concerned, we believe that we train our own soldiers perfectly well. We train them on what to do and what not to do. And because we are a government, we assume responsibility for their actions, if and only if they are acting within the rules of what we have trained them to be. If a rogue soldier, this net does not only catch criminals, it catches everybody who is involved. And so, again, this thing, Yaounde is involved. I don't need to go on analyzing.
Let me interject there and ask you a question so that we can prosecute the conversation progressively and you don't go and come back. You're saying that we train them and give them instructions, and they will be liable or tantamount for judgment if they go with beyond the borders of such instructions. Now, is this government, you are an advisor and an official of this government, is this government having any official document that prescribes the role that the Ambazonian State Army should respect? Or is it just a
Well, I'm not in the defense, but I'm sure the answer is yes. They have the guides. They have the guidelines. There's no doubt about that. And I was trying to say this. We're this government, but we cannot pretend to think that people outside there are people outside there who claim to be fighting for this same fight. Like it or not, they claim to be doing it. And so any person or any group of people, approved or not approved, who purport to fight this particular war or any other one should be guided by rules. If you're not guided by the proper rules, if you're not guided by the law, you're heading yourself to hell. And so, to your answer, the answer is yes. We train our people.
I'm coming to a question because I want us to conclude on this matter in the next 2 or 3 minutes so that we have some reports that we will need to process what is happening on the ground. Now, another very important question I'd like to ask: how do we, as a government, from a legal standpoint, you find the media, I would say strategically, does not seem to separate us from those committing crimes against humanity. But our has not been, the president of the nation of Ambazonia arrested for any of such crimes, which means his statements and his movements and his policies will speak for themselves. But then, how do we, as a government and as a people of Ambazonia, it's very tasking, it's very complex. Cameroon recruits proxies every day. How do we try, aside from all the efforts we've already made, try to make this distinction, both in the international community and even with those at the front that are trying to jumble and mix everybody together? Well, on a diaspora thing, you know some of the statements. You travel with us with undaunted every day, the ground. So what is your advice? How do we navigate this? Make a distinction as we go.
This is the only way we make the distinction. For everything that we do, sometimes I've got into trouble saying this. Most of what we do as a government, we have guidelines, which are very often, in the majority of cases, written down, which we call it government policy, which is guiding us in anything. But I'll give you a good example. Remember this lockdown that happened just a week ago. Some people and different groups claimed they were making the lockdown to prevent schools from reopening. We as the government said, look, we're not concerned with school reopening. Our lockdown did not focus on children going to school or not going to school. That is a message that this government stands for. It is in writing. And let us be known. There's nothing we can do. The Oslo court, Norway, is not acting on social media reports. They are not acting on Equinox reports or on CRTV. Equinox, CRTV, and what do you and me say here, can be a pointer to those people who want to prosecute crimes. It's a pointer. They have to investigate. They don't just go and act because Mr. Cho Ayaba, because I said this, or because you said that, or because Equinox said this, or because CRTV said this. What they say on the media is a pointer that something is going wrong. Before they ever act, be it the ICC or any government, like the Norway government, they investigate and have their own facts, because they are not going to bring Cho Ayaba to the dock, for example, and say, well, we heard Paddy accuse you of shooting somebody in Bati, but they will investigate. You go there. You just, from your clip that you showed before, that thing that happened in the north, where they shot that woman with children. Before Cameroon accepted, CRTV said they didn't do it. All their networks said they didn't do it. They investigated and said, look, we found the gun, we found the style, we found the uniform, and realized that it was yours. And they accept. So what we say here is a pointer, not the final evidence. And so there's no way you can hide. In this case, if Cho Ayaba were ever to go on trial, I don't know what people will say, what his defense attorneys will say, when they are matched with his own speech, with his own statements, which are alive, saying that, well, kill them, well, punish them. I don't know what they will say in defense. And so they don't just act on that. So if Cho Ayaba says, well, we've said people should change the colors of their cars and cars have been banned, the ICC is not going to act on that alone. They go to Bamenda. If they were to charge you, they will say this car was banned. They will give you the car number. They will give you the owner of that car. They will tell you the street in which it was banned and the name of the person who's accused. So they go more detailedly. But what we'll do is very important. We serve to give them evidence, pointers of evidence to a crime, which I think, as far as we're concerned, we have a ton of it. Again,
are you by any means, because we've seen the media calling us names that are not worthy, are you by any means saying that media rhetoric does not have a drastic impact as we prosecute this war? Because the media...
No, media rhetoric has a social media... media rhetoric has a social interaction, has a social meaning. It was media rhetoric. I don't think all what you and me here do combined is up to 1/10 of what CRTV does, or Quinox. They have called us left and right, even at the United Nations, terrorist nations, terrorists. But they have nobody in the world has acted on their media narration, because they understand that we are not terrorists. Nobody here or anywhere has been charged for being. They have not been charged, to the best of my knowledge, Ayaba for being a terrorist. for whatever they were fighting. They have charged him for violating particular rules of law. And so media rhetoric plays its own role. But we must know how far they can go. If that were to be the case, as I've just said, we will not even be, we are nowhere. They have proxies everywhere in the world, in France, and even governments. They have described all what they can think about us. It does not hold water. So let us, back to your question, what do? We as this government, let us focus on what we are doing and be sure that what we are doing is the right thing legally. I, from my own perspective, if anything is going on, they were to ask me, is this thing legal? I will do the best to put out the best legal implications of our actions. Again, back to this school resumption thing. We all know that the whole world is interested in children going to school. It's a national right. We have never prevented people from going to school. We have it documented there. So when they go down and say, well, Amba people prevented schools from reopening, thinking that they will make us terrorists, it does not hold water, at least as far as this government is concerned. We're not concerned with that. So just keep doing the right thing. The right thing remains the right thing. You don't follow the crowd just because you want to be part of the crowd of the wrongdoers. Over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Ask you. I'm going to ask you the last question that will help us. I think on don't as a report. We'll open the phone lines after this question so that Ambazonians, as we process this, can call. And those who are watching us at the home front, how do you feel about the situation? What is happening? Because we know that Cameroon is also kidnapping people right now because they want to prevent any form of celebration of our first Independence Day. So, Barrister MBESEHA, what is your advice to Ambazonians globally who are feeling a little bit now? The media in Cameroon, if you observe media rhetoric in Cameroon, and media has an impact on the minds of people, is trying to make the people on the ground to believe that they fight, we can't win. Media is an instrument of war, you know that. Even in the diaspora, fear is creeping in them. What would you say to them right now as a legal person who is also implicated in this effort of Ambazonia's self-determination? What will you tell the people at this time?
Well, I think I take quoting from the president. You see, a liberation struggle is not essentially based on the majority, though the majority will enjoy the fruits. It is based on a devoted minority. Now, if you look at the whole thing called the struggle for Ambazonia, what brothers and sisters who are unionists, they are not unionists because they love East Cameroon. They are not unionists because they like what is going on. No. Who are federalists. They are not federalists because they like federation. They are not federalists because they hate us. What is the common link between them? They are federalists because they think it's so difficult. And I'll quote Dr. Munzu. Oh, it's so hard. And because it's so hard, people will die. People are being killed. So they fear death, which is natural. People are being jailed. So they fear jail, which is natural. People are running around and they are being expelled from their homes, which is a punishment, physical. No human being wants to enjoy prison. No human being wants to enjoy torture. And because of that generalized fear, people would, at one moment, turn against the people, the rightful fighters. At one moment, I can tell you, people in South Africa, even the blacks, they hated Mandela because they thought Mandela was resisting too much and causing the white man to punish them for resisting apartheid. And that is what is happening with us. I can tell you, if the independence were officially recognized tomorrow, people you believe are working in Uyani will run back to Buya and Bamenda. The Munzus will confess. The Diongutes will say, oh, God bless, we are back home. So the issue is, for the devoted few, because we are a minority, the question you have to ask yourself to continue is, what do I have to show for the thousands who have died? What will I tell all these people who have died? The Samsoya you shot there, the Florence Ayafo, the Cherry in Garibu, in Kumba, and everywhere. What shall we say they died for? They killed them for what? What was their crime? Just being Ambazonians? So, to those who are fighting and encouraging the fighting and financing and supporting it in any form, remain steadfast because you are the right minority in times of struggle. When the fruits come, by the time they come, a good number of us would have been dead. But we shall be remembered for the job we did. Go John Garang. He didn't have the opportunity even to see South Sudan. They killed him. He didn't die naturally, they killed him. He died. But South Sudan survived. If I were in South Sudan, maybe the best street there in the capital would be named John Garang Street. Over to you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. At this moment right now, we bring in Undaunted, Oduwala and Star Smart. I want to believe that you guys can hear me. But before I even bring you,
Yes, we can.
yeah, for those of you who are actually watching us and you're doubting the word, if you're doubting, we did not fabricate some of the saying today. This moment has been about a month ago. We had an interview with the president who reacted to you and gave the position of this government. You must understand that the defense of the president is constitutes a policy statement and represents not just the government of Ambazonia, but represent the Amazonian people are bad and the ugly. And it actually represents what we stand for as a people seeking the rights to our sovereignty. So you watch this, and right after that, Star Smart will be reporting to us a story on of the war and the heightened insecurity that is taking place in Ambazonia, precisely in Bamenda state. Mr. President, in one of their recent meetings, an audio I would say leaked. I don't know if it was published intentionally, but as I was coming news, I heard something that's of interest, and that will lead us to something that will be concluding our conversation for tonight about taxes and schools. Let's listen to it briefly.
They are our people. They are for the reason we are fighting. They are for the reason we are sacrificing our energy, our time, and every other thing. So when we want to take a decision, that is what we are saying. We cannot even stop some groups because these things are done on papers and Facebook and WhatsApp. But we are saying that it has to stop for the good of the struggle. When you want to decide on something, ask yourself, what is the negative consequences of this decision? I've given one here. When you ask people to pay taxes, you give them receipt. Then GMI, gendarmes and military come and arrest them because they discover that they have paid taxes to you without receipt. Where are you to protect them? Because that's the reason you collect taxes. You are the authority. You are claiming that you are the authority. You are running them. They pay taxes to you. Where are you when the gendarmes, the army, the military, and the terrorists are attacking those people, arresting them, locking them up, and asking for money? Where are you to defend them? Were you able to sit with the other leaders to find out how you can find a way where the people can contribute without you putting them at war? It is criminality. When you tell people to change the colors of their taxi, who runs the road? Where did they register the taxi? You want them to change the color? Are you the one who registered the taxi for them? Because the registration is still owned by La Republic. They still go to La Republic to register it. The council is still taking money from them. They're running the taxi. You ask them to change the color in the open. And then when they seize their taxis, where are you to go and remove it from those who have impounded it? These are the questions I'm asking. Why do you take these decisions when you are further risking the lives of the people and putting them in danger? You're not doing anything to free the homeland. You are turning the people against the rest of all the others for the work they are doing. Because they will not say it is Dr. Kwanga doing it. They will say, look at what those people who are abroad there, who are not suffering, see what they are doing.
Mr. President, that was Dr. Ebenezer Akwanga, whom I understand you at one point you would have worked with him, at least agreeing with you for the cry you've been crying for months, that this whole liberation tax and the way it's being prosecuted, the so-called change of taxes, is an entirely a bad idea. I just would like you to comment again on that issue so that the stance of your government will be reiterated.
Well, I agree with Comrade Akwanga, probably more than many other people who used to have footprints on the ground. So I had even worked some understanding with him. We have gone further than it has been with any other person. Yeah. I've had private conversations with him on issues when they happen, when I knew that I needed his input. And we have had frank conversations. I think on this issue, it's another issue where we agree. It is wrong. It is wrong. But here, let me say this: that when the people leave the realm of the area of actions, when they stop producing actions and start seeking relevance, they do things because for them, notoriety is popularity. Notoriety is popularity. Anything that puts them in the media is popular. It makes them popular. When somebody is seeking for relevance, he can get it through notoriety or he can get it through popularity. Popularity will come when you are doing the right things. When people really, what people really want, and you are producing those actions, you will get popularity. Then you can also become notorious and therefore known by everyone to be such. I think that's the path of the ADF, if at all, wherever they stay, they exist. That's the path they have chosen, of relevance through notoriety. If not, how are decisions made? How are decisions made? Did you just wake up one morning, you yawn, you think about it, or you do? Or you just wait when anybody does something, because you cannot scold anyone, especially when you are not producing the action, you are irrelevant. You cannot correct anybody. So the only thing you can do for popularity is to endorse anything that comes to you. You can tell a child, I don't want you to read this book, and you go to the bookshelf and buy another book and give that child. But if you cannot afford a book and he's playing with that which he's playing with, well, it's not enough. You cannot tell him stop. If he says stop, you say stop, I'm still bored. What will I get? What will you tell that person? Nothing. So some people endorse any nonsense on the ground. They endorse and find a way, talking point, to justify any nonsense on the ground that happens. They even take responsibility for what they did not do, just for relevance. But even though that is making them notorious, for them, they want to become relevant through notoriety, since they cannot get it through popularity anymore, because they are not producing the actions that the Ambazonians want. So for you to say that taxis should change their colors, which office will which office is registering taxis? Do they also have an office that is registering the taxis? No, they are actually saying that taxis should expose themselves to be targeted. You should make sure that's a law that says taxis should expose themselves to be targeted. Among them, the same taxis that will help will lock down, will marching here and there, and will even support, and some of them help them, they help us. Then you say expose yourself by giving yourself a flag and a color that people should come, you should be arrested. And just like Akwanga asked, are they there to support them? When people obey your laws and they are victimized for obeying your laws, you should be ready, you should be there to defend them for obeying your laws. Then the tax, the same thing. The people on the ground, let me tell you the truth. On the ground, people have been able to help one way or the other their children. If my child is in the resistance, I think there is nothing wrong with that child for what he's doing. I can give that child some food to eat. Then I don't need a receipt for the food. I don't need a receipt. If you give me a receipt, it means that any day they search me, they find that receipt, they should know that that's what I'm doing. Is that not the height of stupidity? You only see it as stupid if you still want to win the war. If you are involved in the actions that are moving this struggle, you will be worried about it. But if you are somebody who is clearly inconsequential and only seeking relevance, you will laugh at it. No matter what we say, they will laugh at it, because that's the only thing they crave for. They crave for some form of relevance through whatever crazy thing they do. So they are doing this crazy thing so that we can even talk about it. The fact that I even in this telecast I even mentioned the name ADF, for them that's enough promotion. Whether I mention it for good or for bad, they have been promoted. Maybe at least people the name exists at least in the minds of the people. That's what they want to do.
Yeah, I cannot agree any less with you that he is trying to just seek attention, and there are those who really believe that he's not working for Ambazonia because his actions on the ground are turning the people against the movement. And this is a critical issue which I don't think you can leave here tonight without addressing it. Ambazonians in their millions are watching you right now at the home front. Some of them are sending in their messages, and they will ask these questions that we find difficulty to understand. If you would have to advise the people at the home front in the face of this complexity and confusion created by what I call a Cameroon proxy militia or armed group, what would be your advice, Mr. President? And also, if we must have the people on the ground participate, maybe by some form of donation, food, money, what is the best or better way to go about it?
You know, we have resisted La République, which is about 20 million people. We cannot bow to some few renegades who want to destroy our hope and our struggle. We cannot bow to them. So my only advice is that we are resisting every enemy, internal and external. Those who are carrying Ambazonia flag, calling themselves Ambazonia this, Ambazonia that, they are not working for our interests. We will resist them the way we resist La République. So that's my advice. We should not surrender to them, because surrendering to the internal enemies, they are the same as surrendering to the enemies without. Because anything that will make us fail or make us fall short is a victory to the enemy, external, that we know. So this we cannot surrender to the proxy. The only thing is that we have been prosecuting this struggle for a while now. We already, as I said the other time, we have defined ourselves in this struggle. There are no strangers. Even right in the home front, you know who is who. You even know among the fighters who are who. You know them, especially because of this system we put in place where people, which is a county by county strategy, you know who is who. You already have an idea of who are these fighters who are around me here or not. We should not allow the bad seeds to destroy the hope of 8 million people. So I want us at the home front to do everything to collaborate with the good ones, because you know them. There are certain instances where you don't know them, but in most instances you know them. Encourage the good guys, because the bad guys are not as many as the good guys. And it takes a good man with arms to stop a bad guy with arms. If we associate with the ones that are good, if we don't bundle everybody together as La République wants us to, if we turn our anger against the bad guys, but make sure that we know that the good guys are not bundled together, then we'll be able to preserve our revolution. But I know that the haters of our struggle, they want to take advantage, because this is not a we are not fighting without opposition. And the haters and La République that orchestrated this through their proxy is also working on the ground to make sure that they can promote this narrative. They can take advantage of this. they can popularize this idea and whip up the anger of the people, so that they will make a blanket. They will hate us. They will turn against the struggle completely. That is the intention, that we should understand better and know that the question is that if you collaborate, you join yourself together to turn against the good and the bad because of what the bad guys have done to you, what alternative is La Republic offering you?
Yeah.
What alternative is La Republic offering you? Are you really sure that if all the bad guys, because of the bad guy, we wipe out all the good guys from the struggle, and the struggle ends, and La Republic takes over and parades itself as the victor of a war that they fought and won? You will have any voice again till you die. In fact, it will be as good as everybody died than for those who will live under that dispensation. So that's why I say that instead of us to buy that narrative and turn against our own, where we know that the enemy has planted his own to cause these actions and cause this confusion and turn our hatred against our own liberators, we are not going to allow that. We are instead going to be surgical to know that only those who are evil, who are bad, they don't deserve our collaboration. Even when they force us at gunpoint to do so, we are not going to continue to support them. We are going to make sure that we stop them, because if you don't stop the internal enemies, the external enemies will continue to use them.
I thought today more than ever before that you would need this very information. We're going to talk on it when we would have informed you effectively. Statsmaka,
Answer.
yeah. So when you would have told us exactly what is happening on the field, by Stambisia, we're getting a lot of noise coming from your angle. Tell us what is happening in Bamenda, Statsma, please.
All right, in Bamenda, we see another sad report there of the insecurity and how it affects civilian population in the heart of Ambazonia's ongoing conflict. We see the life of a young businesswoman who her life was tragically cut short when she became an unintended casualty of a violent clash between the La Republique du Cameroon colonial army and a group of kidnappers. The incident occurred in the Nquain area of Bamenda, the capital of the Midland Zone of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. The victim, Sama Hilda, had been abducted just days earlier from Mile 6 in Quain alongside a local school teacher. Both were held captive by unidentified gang believed to be responsible for a string of recent kidnappings in the region. In a purported attempt to rescue the women, the La Republic forces launched a military operation. However, what was said to be a so-called rescue mission quickly spiraled into tragedy, and according to reports during the confrontation, the colonial soldiers, instead of neutralizing the kidnappers, opened fire on the hostages. Sama Hilda sustained a fatal gunshot wound to the chest, while her fellow captive was shot in the leg. Despite urgent efforts to save her, she succumbed to her injuries due to massive blood loss, leaving the community in shock and mourning. The death of Hilda has ignited widespread outrage across Bamenda, with residents raising questions about the professionalism and true intent of the La Republique military's action in the region. Many are openly criticizing the colonial army, accusing them of gross incompetence, and in some cases alleging that civilian casualties are not merely accidental but intentional. It is becoming a pattern, said one resident. Another resident said innocent civilians are being killed, and it is always attributed to mistakes or stray bullet. The incident underscores the alarming rise in violence and insecurity that has gripped Bamenda and Ambazonia in general.
Bamenda at the center of some of the most egregious human rights violations. The La République military heavy-handed tactics coupled with the lawlessness of these armed groups continues to make daily life in the region perilous for civilians caught in the crossfire of a war that they did not ask for. For many, the loss of Hilda is more than just another tragic death. It is a stark reminder of the cost of war in Ambazonia and the mounting human toll. Calls for accountability, reform, and an end to the indiscriminate violence continue to echo through the streets of Bamenda. But as the conflict drags on, hope for ultimate peace seems to be elusive. As the conflict intensifies, the atmosphere in Ambazonia and Bamenda in particular remains fraught with tension. The rising frequency of clashes between armed forces and local militia, the colonial armed forces and local militia groups, have left many residents living in constant fear, unsure when the next confrontation might erupt and what other Ambazonian civilian would be the victim again. The threat of being caught in the middle, either as a direct target or collateral damage or accidental damage, has made ordinary activities like walking through town or running a business a dangerous gamble. Despite the presence of so-called forces, colonial military forces, security remains fragile, which makes a lot of Ambazonians, especially in Bamenda, question their presence in their territory. And confidence in La République Army's capacity or willingness to protect civilians continues to erode even further. With each incident, like the one that claimed this innocent Sama Hilda's life, trust in the intention of these colonial forces continues to diminish, while the call for justice for the entire Ambazonia continues to grow louder. Ms. Paddy, this is yet another case of an accidental, as said, accidental, that killing of a civilian by the colonial forces. I hand the floor over to you to talk about this briefly.
Thank you very much, Tasmat, for that wonderful report. Before we even comment, I'm happy you're talking about clashes between state colonial army and the Ambazonian fighters. Just spent a couple of minutes, Barrister MBESEHA, actually looking at the true actors on the ground, what they do, their manipulation and everything happening. And I would like those who are watching us to know that the phone lines are open on the screen. You can actually call in and make your contribution. WhatsApp calls are permitted only, so you can call in. We can get an analysis of this. That's smart. I'm also understand you processed the buoy security. I want you to take quickly since we're running out of time. Are you ready to present that to us right now? The buoy security.
Thank you very much.
Do you have details of that, please? Talk to us.
Yes, speaking of the insecurity and tension, in Biya on Friday, that's yesterday, the 27th of September 2024, tension escalated as the illegal colonial senior divisional officer narrowly escaped a locally made bullet that was targeted for him and his bodyguard. The incident occurred near Tobin, the administrative headquarters of Biya County, when a locally made explosive device referred to as popcorn and a locally made bullet referred to as popcorn barely missed its target, the colonial SDO and his bodyguards. The close call has sent a clear message that there is no hiding place for foreign appointed administrators in Ambazonian territory. After the attack, the colonial SDO and his security detail fled the scene at high speed, seeking refuge at an illegal La République du Cameroon military base in Bambui, Congo local government area. The Biya Ambazonian State Army, the ASA, also known as the ghost warrior of this particular area in Biya, have claimed responsibility for the attack, vowing to continue targeting all illegal colonial officials appointed by La République. This particular incident includes individuals, this particularly includes individuals from southern Cameroon's origin who have chosen to collaborate with French Cameroon in its effort to maintain control over Ambazonian territory. The Ambazonian State Army's spokesperson has reiterated that there is no sanctuary for imposed colonial administrators who failed to represent the aspirations of the peoples of southern Cameroons. The Ghost Warriors in Buyi remain committed to expelling all foreign officials from Ambazonia's territory, further asserting that those who choose to serve under the colonial regime are their enemies and enemies of the peoples of Ambazonia. Well, despite the ongoing conflict, the Ambazonian State Army has extended a peace proposal to La Republic administrators and its forces in Buyi County. Extending this peace proposal to the La Republic colonial forces, offering an option for surrender, promising safe passage for any La Republic soldier willing to lay down their arms. The Amazonian State Army emphasizes that their primary goal is to restore peace, end hostilities, and bring an end to the unnecessary bloodshed. The group asserts that La Republic's continued aggression serves no justifiable cause, and neither do their colonial forces serve any justifiable cause, and that the people of Ambazonia are only defending their right to self-determination, which is a legal fight. In the statement of the ASA, they have once again called upon all genuine Ambazonians, their allies, well-wishers, and advocates of justice and freedom to continue providing both moral and financial support. The Amazonian State Army insists that the fight for the restoration of Southern Cameroon's stolen statehood is reaching a critical phase, and continued backing from the local population is crucial. In the words, fund your county, fund your local government area. The ASA statement reads, this emphasizing the importance of transparency and accountability in their operations. The Amazonian State Army believes that by empowering the people, they can successfully reclaim the sovereignty of Southern Cameroons from foreign occupation. The missed bullet on the colonial SDO's part is a stark reminder of the deepening crisis in Ambazonia. And as the conflict intensifies, both sides continue to dig in, and the people of Buyi County remained in the struggle for autonomy with no clear resolution in sight. The nation of Ambazonia and its future hangs in the balance, leaving the inhabitants uncertain of what lies ahead, calling and appealing to the international community to come to the aid and bring the belligerent party La Republique to the mediation table. And that is all about the Buyi County situation report. Over to you now, Mr. Paddy.
Thank you very much again. Once again, Matt, that was really an impeccable vision right there. It only in tandem with all the person here this evening. I know, Barrister MBESEHA, you're actually eager to make some commentaries. You're going to have that opportunity. We had on the social media, and we've sent reporters on the ground to verify exactly what is happening. I know the landslide in Chomba, you would have been investigating. I don't know if you have details as per what happened. Can you talk to us, please?
Yes, Mr. Tarh. So this particular report has been quite intense because we do not, we're trying to follow up with all of the, all of the intricacies surrounding it. But then on Friday in Bamenda, a devastating landslide struck in Chomba, a neighborhood in Bamenda, as we all know, in the early hours of Friday, leaving at least 3 people missing and feared dead. Well, eyewitnesses described the scene as chaotic, with panic residents scrambling to search for loved ones buried under the rubble. Well, a heart-wrenching video circulating on social media captures desperate voices calling out for an elderly woman, affectionately known as Grandma, believed to be amongst those missing. Very sad. While heavy rains pounded in the area overnight and the soil just gave way, said a local resident who can be best described as Emmanuel Tata. He says, we are doing everything we can to find those trapped, but it is difficult. Well, in our research, we also found out that the National Observatory on Climate Change had issued a warning of potential landslide and flooding in the Ambazonian regions just days prior to this particular incident. And so we're asking, so what did they do to stop this particular incident? So This disaster is very cruel. And
I think we long there. I'm sure they're having some connectivity, but we would have had enough of that report. Barrister, yeah. Last thing I heard from Onyede, but the last thing I heard from her there, which is very important, based on the report that was presented by a technical report that was presented, what did is the question Onye was asking. I know we've said quite a lot. We want to comment, but maybe we should take it from bottom top as we conclude. And Ambazonia, if you're watching us from Chomba, you're watching anywhere in Bamenda, you have a contribution to make. You want to tell us what is happening on the ground, please do not hesitate. Perhaps your family member has been kidnapped or something is happening and yet you want to let us know. We're here at your beck and call. Please call right in. The numbers are open. We have not much time to spend here. We don't have content. Barrister MBESEHA, please talk to us. You've seen what happens there. As obvious as the normal behavior of the colonial administration, they are won by things, they are in control of things, and no action is taking place. It only stems to explain and to expose to the world what we're going through as a people.
Well,
Talk to
let
us,
me
please.
let me start with the Chomba disaster and
Yes,
start with the
please.
question your news analyst, your news anchor lady said. What did they do to prevent it? Certainly nothing. And then the question she did not ask is, what did they do when it occurred? We don't see them doing anything. From those pictures, we find people there with their cutlasses, with their hoes, trying to help themselves. Where was the administration with bulldozers to clear the road? With something other than the crude cutlass or hoe. As per those pictures, we don't see them there. They did nothing to prevent it if it was preventable, and they did nothing to help when it occurred. And so that is where they are. And they call themselves a government over there. I take it fast backwards to Bui. What happened in Bui had asked me earlier how we are training our boys, our ASAs, where we're giving them the right training. I would say from what happened in Bui, from that Bui attack, we found that the ASAs were precise in what they did. The American car was running around town. They didn't shoot anybody's car. They shot at the colonial master's car. The colonial master driving through that area is the legitimate legitimate target in time of war for freedom. Nobody will charge you for attacking that car, but they will charge you for shooting dead a woman. They will charge you for adopting the woman. And that will take us to the Sama Hilda story, who dies in captivity. Yes, Sama was abducted into the bush. With at least two of them. She was a teacher. From the story as we hear, she was barely a teacher. She was not carrying any arms to anybody. Why was she adopted into the forest, into the bush? Why? Was it the Republic people who did it? We don't know. But certainly, if they did it under the cloak of the surrogate army, whatever name they gave it. It was just wrong. You couldn't be adopting an innocent woman into the bush. But after the adoption, what happened? She died. In whose hands did she die? She did not die in the hands of her adopters. No. She did not die in the hands of the so-called Amba boys. No. She died in the hands of the military. It is important for us to know that this is the military, which is said to be trained professionally. And they are facing 2, 3 abductors. I don't know how many were there. And the people who end up dying there are the victims of the abduction. Not even a criminal, a suspect is wounded, talk less of being captured. Nothing, nothing. This is being done by professional soldiers trained in Yaoundé or wherever. We haven't gone for further training in France and around the world. And they cannot even control a 3, 4, 5% crowd of adopters. And this is the government you want us to believe in. This is the army that you want us to believe in. Why was these people not wounded at all? The criminals. I would suspect, I have no evidence, that they were just let go because they might have been acting on the instructions of the government to sell the narrative that Amba boys did this. Otherwise, how do they explain that they sent in a whole contingent to come and liberate 1 or 2 women? One is dead, the other one is wounded. No abductor is caught, none is wounded. And so they go free, like in the case of Garbo, like in other incidents where they have orchestrated it. Their actors have gone under the share and escaped. And if you permit me, I will end this small segment going back to what the president said there and what Dr. Akwanga said. What Dr. Akwanga said, the president said he agrees. We all agreed. What was he trying to do? Dr. Akwanga was trying to look for relevance. And it is important for us to know that we say, this is what we've gone through and we're still going through. Dr. Akwanga, he said the right thing. That was proper education. But does he fit again in this struggle as a fighter? Certainly no. Akwanga officially called off the fight in 2019. He called a ceasefire. He has not returned to the fight, to the battleground. So what should Akwanga be doing? He should be saying those things. But from what platform? I will end by asking tell you the platform when I go next. You see, this is Akwanga who left the fight in 2019. But you find him with his so-called soccer death in Canada, negotiating an end to the conflict. Canada 1, Canada 2, he is there. Akwanga is not there alone. He looks for another one. He calls his own another group ACT. The ACT, which is a creation by President Sako, Ambazonia team, negotiation team. He creates it. He's there. You find there ADF, 1, AGOFC, 2. They constitute 2 different groups to go and negotiate peace with Yaoundé. Are they in the fighting? Certainly not. You find somebody who calls himself Mbakoro under a platform called, what do you call it? The Consortium, which was disbanded since 2017. But you find him there. What is the goal? They want to be relevant. Why is this relevance important? Because these conferences that bring people together, these groups that they go to Canada to negotiate, they are paid for. They are looking for their own share of the booty, just the money. And so, and you go there, you find people coming out and say, I'm SCNC. These groups were there yesterday, but their role today is no longer fighting. Their role, if they still have a role to play, should be giving advice. And therefore, what would they do to give that advice? The consortium, SOCADEF, SCNC, and all those other groups that are relevant, that's sitting there, they're relevant. Their best platform would be to convert themselves into think tanks and reflect on the advice they give the right fighters, not to pretend to be relevant when it comes to negotiating for peace with the real people who are carrying the guns, with the people who are sacrificing themselves. The consortium has never had an army. They have never owned one. They have not done any one. SCNC has never had one. They have played their own role. SOCADEF has stopped, and so on and so forth. And so relevance should not just be making one statement after the other. If Dr. Akwanga could take his relevance to pure educational, no longer fighting force, when they go to negotiate the end to the war, which is coming sooner or later, they should not be sitting on the table as partners, as parties to the conflict. They should sit, if they must be there, they should sit at the back bench as advisors to those who are fighting the war. If they had done this, Canada, for example, the Canadian government would have realized that they were talking to themselves. There were no negotiators in Canada. No. Because there was no fighting force. They were never going to end the war. And so that's the lesson we take from it. Be relevant, yes, but know where your relevancy comes from. How you portray your relevancy. It don't become relevant at the beginning in 2017, 2018. The Sukade did wonderful things, and they committed their own share of war crimes. I remember they catching priests in UNGA. When they shouted on them, they stopped. In all those places, they stopped the war. I don't know what will happen if tomorrow the war crime thing is expanded. Whether they face justice or not is not for me. But they should assume their rightful role now of giving proper education from a proper platform, not assuming what they don't own. And to the best of my knowledge, to end it, I don't see where the ADF, AGOV-C, that presents itself as two different groups under the negotiation table, has ever fought the military, has ever fought the enemy. Over to you.
Amazing. It would appear that you anticipated and just spoke about the lady Hilda that was a victim of unfortunate killing, Sama Hilda, who has lost her life because of an insensitive army that know how to rescue captors. So this woman supposedly would have been arrested by the proxies of Cameroon, and Cameroon would have lost her life instead of saving the life. So we have not spoken about this. Please, by Stambesia, I would like you to talk about it very briefly.
Well, I thought I spoke about it, but I was not elaborate enough. So I said, and let me repeat myself, Hilda, from the story we hear, was a male teacher, abducted, caught, and taken into hiding. By who? We don't know. But we suspect and believe strongly that her captors were allies of the government. And in distress cry, either the family or they themselves, they sought to be rescued. And then they thought they were rescuing them. And they sent what they call efficiently trained military guys to rescue an unarmed woman. And what was the result of the rescue? She died. What other things do you get out of it? I hear there were two. The other one was wounded. Nobody, a suspect, was wounded or dead. Absolutely nothing. The officially trained military returned home with the dead body of Hilda, with the wounded leg of another one, but with no evidence to show who did it, who was responsible for the abduction. That alone leaves anybody, any reasonable person to suspect that this thing was simply orchestrated by the Yaoundé government. Because they have done that before. They have done that in Garabo. And so, because they cannot explain how their professionally trained soldiers will go to rescue one person from a group of abductors, and they will not even wound any of their own abductors. So it smells a rat. We cannot have evidence. We don't have the evidence, but it smells a rat. And then I said, otherwise, as we were saying with Cho Ayaba, why would even a reasonable fighter to dispel the idea that was false adopt this poor woman who was a bad teacher? We are adopting her for what? To ask for tax? Or to ask for what? You're either asking for taxes from her, or you're trying to rape her. But if it was just a question of raping her, you'd have raped her and left her alive. And so, again, this government thing, so-called Yaoundé government, is a total disgrace. They are a group of armed robbers. They are a group of criminals. If you investigate this case very, very well, you might find their fingers behind the abduction and behind the killing of the woman, with the sole purpose of painting the persons they call Amba fighters black. That's what I said. Over to you.
So they have the same playbook and they employ this playbook all the time. Thank you very much, Barrister MBESEHA, for always respecting our invitation when we call. Apparently, Ambazonians are satisfied with the in to make their contributions, which is okay. In a few days, we will be commemorating the 7th Independence Day after the declaration by the former president, Sisiko Julius Tabe. Lots of activities and lots of things are happening. You understand that a fundraiser was opened for the press conference. The press conference has not been cancelled. It has simply been postponed, and we're calling on those who have not donated yet for the press conference. If not donated towards the October 1 activities, AB is taking responsibility to finance some of the humanitarian activities in Tunisia, in Brazil, to our people, displaced people, having something to drink, to understand that they have some people who believe in them and who are supporting and serving their interests. We're calling on Ambazonian that's watching us right now to make that donation. Barrister MBESEHA, in less than 2 minutes, talk to us something in this delight as far as Ambazonians prepare collective ahead of this wonderful day.
Well, I tried to jump the fence already by telling us earlier what 1st October represents. It represents a day not created by us, not invented by Ambazonians, but invented by the United Nations, called 1st October, written down in black and white in Resolution 1608 to be celebrated. We choose to celebrate it our own way. No one living on the human earth, at least not living under the auspices of the United Nations, should ever refuse us the right to celebrate that date. And so if that is our Independence Day, that was imposed on us by the United Nations, ask yourself the question as we move on. Why are we dying today? Why are we celebrating it in private? Why are we hiding to celebrate it? Why can't we even invite our own guests to come to Biya, our capital, and share with us a drink? We are not allowed to do that. And so the question we have been asking around is, where is the very United Nations? If the eyes are not closed, what do they talk about the enforceability of this their own Resolution 1608 that set for October 1st as the Day of Independence? Since we cannot invite guests as we think, we cannot make the pomp that we want. We cannot be supported, we're not yet supported by the world. We have to do it ourselves. Let us chip in. For those who want to cry, they die with us. For me, on that day, I'll wear black. Because that's the day that we're sold into slavery. That's the day that the slave master has closed the door that we cannot get out of it. And so we must celebrate it. If it is prayer, we have to pray. If it is offering masses, I come to the Catholic Church, you offer the mass. But you don't offer a mass for nothing. You pay at least a dime to offer a mass. So let us contribute whatever thing we have to make the day great in our own way, hoping that sooner than later we'll be in Biya. It will be an open celebration, and hopefully we shall even invite the Secretary General of the United Nations to come and join us, partake in the celebrations. If it means eating a chew, if it means eating ero, tamambusa, palm wine, that will be celebration, the style of Ambazonia. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Barrister MBESEHA. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Ambazonians, want to appreciate you all for logging in and participating. I had to close earlier than anticipated, but we've had an extensive discussion. We're calling on all those who missed the beginning of the program. You have to share and keep sharing as widely as possible. We've said some very instrumental things here that will help to debunk the lies and manipulation and hypocrisy of the mainstream, or maybe to educate those who purportedly would not know the truth of the Ambazonian story. And this is the only platform that has the mandate to tell the world the story of Ambazonians, not by a third party, not by a proxy, and to tell the world the truth, nothing but the truth. Your funding to enhance this platform is needed and needed now more than ever before. If you were doubting before today, if you were reluctant before today, if anybody had told you anything that was not worth it, today, most probably after listening to every other media platform, today your answer today should inform you that this is needed more than any other weapon. They need to fight the media warfare at this time. In fact, it is the most important weapon in our fight to freedom. See you again Monday. The President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, His Excellency Dr. Samuel, will be addressing the nation.
It's another year and another Independence Day for a people at war. Once again, the time has come for Ambazonians across the globe to unite and celebrate their independence on October 1st. A day of pride, hope, and renewed purpose is upon us.
As we mark this significant occasion with cultural representations, dances, military parades from the Ambazonian State Army, all eyes will turn to the leader of the revolution.
Fellow Ambazonians, patriotic diasporas, I salute all of you gathered around our flag on this national day, our Independence Day.
President Samuel Ikome Sako on the eve of Independence Day. Join us on September 30th at 8 p.m. as President Samuel Ikome Sako addresses the nation.
Today, as the never again generation, we have one assignment: to right this great wrong through the sword of justice, with the flame of our courage and the undying spirit of our righteous resolve. So whether we live or die, let it be for Ambazonia.
In these trying times, amidst an 8-year conflict with La République du Cameroon, President Sako's words are expected to spark hope and chart a new direction.
Let me tell you again in a simple language. The person who does not want his neighbor to sleep should expect a knock on his door.
While the date for the war to end remains uncertain, brace yourselves for a roadmap towards a smarter prosecution of our liberation movement, a vision full of promise and determined leadership. Prepare to be inspired as we honor our journey and look forward to a brighter future.
To remind the world of our genocide and the injustice done to us as a nation by France and the complicit international community. Share our story with passion and courage, knowing that no one feels our pain more than we do, and no one knows our story more than those who have lived it, us. Let us fight as one man.
Tune in live across all multimedia platforms and catch this monumental speech only on your favorite TV channel. Don't miss this pivotal moment. Together, let's reignite the spirit of Ambazonia.
This Independence Day, immerse yourself in the words of our leader. Be part of history in the making. Stand with Ambazonia. Empower ABC Amba TV. We are calling on Ambazonians around the world to unite and uplift ABC Amba TV, Ambazonian Broadcasting Corporation. In this critical time of war, ensuring the station's survival is more important than ever. But what does ABC Amba TV truly represent for Ambazonia?
At the heart of Ambazonia's war of independence,
ABC Amba TV stands as a beacon. Years of recolonization, annexation, and French Cameroon's oppressive occupation of the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia have led to our exclusion. Our identity was hidden, our history distorted, our sovereignty denied. Queen of England is aware that the British Southern Cameroons were never a colony under France.
Since its inception in 2018, ABC Amba TV has been our lifeline.
Months of diplomacy have failed to resolve the crisis as fear grows over an imminent Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Our work in the dark is our chance to tell our stories to the world, to give voice to the voiceless and broadcast the truth of our struggle.
We are serious about executing this revolution.
It has become a vital arm of our government in wartime, making diplomacy achievable and showcasing our untold stories.
ABC Amba, you guys know how important ABC is for this, our quest for international recognition.
Your donations can make a world of difference. Every bit of support helps keep our stories alive, our presence known, and our fight in the global conversation.
The moment they notice that we are no longer on air, they think that, oh, maybe La Republic have succeeded. This is about Ambazonia. One thing we must always remember.
Where would we be without ABC Amba TV? Let's ensure we never have to find out.
A revolution is a temporary state of insanity to bring about sanity.
Mobilize, donate, stand with Ambazonia, donate to ABC Amba TV.
Together, let's write the next chapter of our history.
It is better to light the candle than to curse the dark.
Support ABC Amba TV campaign. Ambazonia Independence, voice for the voiceless. Mobilize for change.